Hey there, beer enthusiasts. Welcome to Beers That FITZ, the podcast where we dive into the world of craft beer, one brewery at a time. And I'm your host, Rob Fitz, and I'm here to bring you closer to the people behind your favorite brews. In each episode, we sit down with the passionate owners and talented brewmasters who make the magic happen, exploring their stories, inspirations, and unique flavors they bring to the table. Whether you're a seasoned beer connoisseur or just starting your craft beer journey, Beers That FITZ has something for everyone. So grab your favorite brew, sit back, and let's toast to good company and great beers. This is Beers That FITZ, where every story fits perfectly into the world of craft beer. Slanja. Hey there, beer lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Beers That FITZ. Today we're diving into a story behind a true Western Mass favorite, Rustic Brewing Company. We had a chance to sit down with Todd from Rustic, and we had a fantastic chat about his journey, passion for craft beer, and the brewery's unique approach to the art of brewing. Rustic Brewing Company, led by friends Todd and Jared, combine a love for craft beer with a dedication to quality and freshness. They're all about bringing their personal touch to each beer and paying attention to every detail to creating memorable brews. We'll be talking about how they got their name, Todd's favorite hops, and the creative takes on styles like their Mango Daydream, a milkshake IPA with a fruity twist, and Azacca Blind, a New England IPA that's heavy on Azacca hops, but still showcases Simcoe, Citra, and Mosaic hops. So grab your favorite pint, settle in, and join us as we explore the passion and creativity behind Rustic Brewing Company with Todd. Let's get started. All right, Todd, thank you very much for being on the podcast. If you just want to introduce yourself and tell me where we are today.
So I'm Todd Kopiak. I'm one of the owners of Rustic Brewing Company. We're in Indian Orchard, Mass.
Excellent, excellent. And Todd, what inspired you to start your brewery, and what was the journey like?
So we originally started off with three business partners. The Jared, who is still with us, and Eric Paul, who had to step aside. But we were beer lovers, and we all played hockey together. So
fun!
Ooh, hockey lover, love it.
Love hockey. Yeah. We actually have season tickets to the Springfield Thunderbirds, downtown Springfield. So
nice, yeah. So we played every Sunday night together in like a pickup game, and we'd go out for beers afterwards, and
as does all hockey players do.
Yeah, and the three of us just actually more than just the three of us, kind of kept talking about craft beer and then sharing beers with one another, and visiting different breweries at the time and things like that, and then we started talking about how a few of us had actually home brewed before. Okay. So Eric had actually grown up home brewing with his brothers and his father. So he was like, I could dig out my stuff and, we could do something. And then I was kind of the same as, Mark Avery. As an anniversary present, my wife had bought me the home brew kit.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Way back in the day. And I made a batch of beer, and it was like this I'm not the type of person who reads all the instructions and then starts something. I read enough of them to get going, and then I'm like, I'll figure out the rest as I get to those steps. I just want to get started. I just want to go.
I can very much relate to that.
So dummy me, I started this thing at like 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, geez.
Not realizing how long the process will be because I didn't read ahead, And so, so then like 4 a.m, I was finally finishing up with my first batch of beer, and, so it was a brown ale, and
very nice.
And it came out halfway decent, and so I did a few more here and there, and then life gets in the way, you get away from it. So, so then when Eric said, hey, let's make some beer, so we were like, yeah, let's do it. So we all got together and decided on what we wanted to try to make, and so we made our first IPA because this was right when the IPA craze was, I wouldn't say at its peak, but and it wasn't in its infancy either. It was really on the rise.
Right.
We were all into IPAs, and so we decided to do that, and it came out pretty good, and we were sharing it with people, and they liked it. And then we entered some homebrew competitions and started doing well in the homebrew competitions.
Did you ever do the Worthy?
We did, yes.
You did?
Yep. Yeah.
As a home brewer?
Yes, we did.
Excellent.
Yep. We never won the Worthy, but it was we won it. We entered it as homebrewers the year that Drunken Rabbit had won.
Okay.
Which was the year after 2 Weeks had won.
Okay.
So kind of that progression there.
Yeah.
And then by the time the next Worthy came around, we were like already in planning. So Hefe was nice enough to do like a tent for, people that we weren't really homebrewers anymore because we had secured a location, but we weren't open to the public yet.
It's like a step up in the middle somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
We were calling it like the tweener tent, because you're in between home brewing and in between professionals. We weren't really professionals yet, but we had like part of our licensing squared away, but not everything and so forth. So we were still able to be there and get our name out, but we weren't really competing against the true home brewers.
Right. Do you remember what year that was?
I want to say it was 2017.
Okay.
Because it might have been because we opened in 2018.
Okay.
So it would have been the June of 2018, because we opened in November of 2018. So that would have made, the timeline. Yeah.
And when did you guys play hockey and decide you wanted to do this? And you made that, you said it was a brown ale, right? What year was that?
So that was, I'm the oldest of all of them. So for me, that was in the late 90s.
Oh, okay.
When I was first doing it, and then I got away from it. And then it was, probably 2014, 2015, 2016 timeframe where we were talking about it over and over again, saying we should do it, we should do it, we should do it.
Okay.
Time would go by before we finally sat down and said, okay, we're actually doing this.
Yeah.
We, bought them the ingredients and we dug out all the equipment, and we're showing up tonight and we're doing this.
Excellent. How'd you choose the name for the brewery, and is there a special story behind it?
The name was actually chosen by Eric.
Okay.
So that was his, and he went to school for graphic design. So he did the whole design of the logo and everything like that. And, when we started saying like, hey, maybe let's see if we're going to do anything with this. He was kind of like, okay, I don't know if you guys thought anything about names or logos or anything. He's like, but I've, been working on this and I've had this. And we looked at it right away and we were like, yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Great.
So we did.
Works for us.
The tab, the RB that's on top, your main logo, it kind of reminds me of the top of a tab on the can.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is that not what he was going for?
I don't think so.
Oh,
no.
okay.
I think he was just doing the R backwards and then the B connected to it. Yeah. So.
It's like those ink blots. Everyone sees their own thing, I guess. But
yeah. So so he had that, and just I think his thought process on why Rustic is just because the craft and the art of brewing beer has been around since ancient times.
Right.
So he was like, it's something that's been around forever and has a storied history. So there is a rusticness to, still to a lot of the processes, procedures, and ways that things are done.
Right,
absolutely. Because we actually had a brewery when we did the Booze and Brews at the Springfield Thunderbirds. And the guy was working for a brewery out of Germany that's been open since 1040, which is incredible. And then you also think of places like, the Guinness factory. Those guys have been working off the same recipe for centuries, so it has been around for a long time. So it's really cool to see, people going back to like the roots of some beers and stuff. So absolutely.
Yeah. I love the name. It's very unique, and
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
It fits to your location too, where you guys are.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything that we did in here, if it didn't come out perfect or whatever, we just say, oh, well, it's rustic.
It's rustic,
yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
That's okay.
So how did
rustic.
you guys get this place in this factory, this old factory?
We were looking around for a place to kind of start out. We approached everything, even though we were kind of starting off where, you know, brewing beer and IPAs and lines to, you know, get beer were like the thing at that time. We still kind of approached it very cautiously. You know, we were all at different points in our life. I had, my daughter was, you know, in college at the time. You know, Eric had, you know, two young children. Jared was thinking about having his first child. So we're all at different points in our life, and we didn't want this to be something that would derail anybody's, you know, future or things that they had coming up. So we took it from a very cautious approach of opening. So we were looking for something that was really budget friendly, taking into consideration that when you kind of go in for your licensing, they want you to have an address. So they want you to have your place secured. But getting your license can take anywhere from 4 months, like insanely fast track, to up to a year. So, but you have to be, you know, you're paying for a place that you can't sell anything from for that. So we kind of like mapped it out, and we're like, okay, what can we afford on a budget to pay for during this whole licensing process, considering we are just going to be putting money in and not being able to sell anything or get anything back from it. So, so this place kind of came up on the radar, and, you know, the owner of the building at the time, they've since sold it to new management, but the owner of the building at the time was related somehow through marriage to Gary at Berkshire Brewing. So he was like, oh, you guys want to brew beer? He's like, I know this guy, you know, and then we're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. You know, so, and he was like, yeah, you know, maybe you could do it here, you know, so forth. And we would talk more about it. And then we kind of learned he was such a great guy, but like everything we would say about what we were going to need to do and what we were going to need to change, he'd be like, I don't know, I'm not really sure. And then we'd talk for like 2 hours about it. And at the end of the conversation, he'd be like, just do what you want. So it ended up being a great relationship, you know, for what we needed to do. He was like really supportive, even though, you know, we had to get to that point, but But yeah, it worked out great. But it was mainly first consideration was budget.
Yeah. It's nice to see that these old factory buildings are getting reused, like here and Great Awakening, and it's good to see them getting repurposed and not just torn down or abandoned. And it's great.
Or the two up in East Hampton, Massachusetts.
Yep.
What year was that you guys moved in here?
So I believe we moved in here. I think it was April of 2018.
Okay.
And the licensing process started, and we got through the first wave of federal licensing, like by, you know, I think by June or July. And I think it was June, because I think it was like the week before the Worthy, we got notification that our federal license was approved. So that's when we had the conversation with Hefe about, you know, well, what do we do? Because we're not home brewers really anymore, because we technically have a federal brewing license. So, you know, we worked all that stuff out. And then it was from then until November till our state license was approved. So,
but then you guys didn't actually open the tap room until after 2020, right?
A couple years, yeah. So we were just really small scale. We had, obviously, the people can't see what I'm pointing at, but you guys can see. But we had only part of this space.
Oh, okay.
So, and our brewing equipment was all over there in that corner.
Okay.
And then, you know, we were just selling growlers to go.
Okay.
We kind of built things with the plan of having a tap room, and we would have you can get licensed for 1 day pour permits. So we would have pour days every month or every couple months, where people could actually stay here and drink. And
that depends on the town or city, I'm guessing. Like that was like the city of Springfield that was allowing that.
Most places will allow it for like a festival or like for a catered event or things like that. You can get a single day permit.
1 day liquor license. I mean,
so you've got a tip certification like we've done before. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So, so we were able to do that off and on. And then like right as we were kind of getting ready to move to the next phases, because we had added on more space, you know, the person next to us had left their space, retired, closed their business down. So we just took that over. And
that's actually the room that you brew beer in now, right?
No, that's actually the end here where the pinball machines are and stuff like that. That was the first expansion.
Okay.
And then so at that was kind of when COVID hit. And, that was at the point at which Eric was like, we're talking about all this expansion. We don't know what's going on with this. I have kids, I have, all these things that were just hitting him, they're two working parents and what are their jobs going to consist of? And, all of these different things. And he's like, I don't want to hold you guys back from what, we need to do and what the place needs to do. But I also can't be fully on board. So it's really difficult for me to give you answers or to say, yeah, you have my buy-in for all of this. So he's like, I think it's just not going to work out for me right at this time. So, so we worked through the whole process through COVID of, buying him out and, taking care of all of that. And then once COVID was over, we had then took over yet even more space during COVID and got a bigger brew system and moved to that side. And we had changed our packaging over to canning and so forth. So by the time that COVID was over, we were pretty close to ready to, open the tap room. So so the tap room was, I don't know, what was that, 21?
It's
June,
it was
June
definitely
of
after COVID because I
2021.
remember coming, with your uncle.
Yeah, we came opening week.
Yeah. We had a great experience, great beer. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was a great food truck outside. So, we had a great time.
Yeah, it's hard running a business plus having a family, because Rob has his own business too, so it's really hard to balance the two.
Yeah, and then having this on the side.
Yeah,
because we all still, Jared and I still to this point have our full-time day jobs.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so we just do this part-time.
Okay.
In addition to it, so
that's splitting yourself into threes at that point.
Yeah. So.
Let's see. Can you describe your brewing philosophy and what sets your beer apart from others?
Well, the brewing philosophy is probably the easier part of the question to answer. Our philosophy is just we try to make stuff that we want to drink. And so, we started off by really focusing heavily on IPAs, and we were big fans of, the Tired Hands milkshake IPAs, and we weren't afraid of, adjunct beers with additional fruits and additional ingredients. We kind of started off with, leaning heavily into that stuff. So, but our philosophy is, we're always trying to also branch out into different styles, but we really try to make sure that when we approach a style, we learn as much about it, we sample as much, that's out there of that style, try to get a real handle on where we want to go with our take on that style, and then, finally make that beer. So, so again, by the time it's done, it's something that we want to drink, even if it's not something that we were really into when we started going down that road. By the time we make it, we feel like, this is something that we really enjoy. Like when we did our Oktoberfest. Yeah. I've never really been a huge fan of Oktoberfest. But we were like, people really love them and we really should make one and so forth. So, kind of investigated and said, well, of these different types that are out there, the Marzen style, the Fest style, which way do we want to go? So for me, I was more partial towards the Marzen style, a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more malty flavors, so forth. And, so we made ours a Marzen style, and it's still something that I really enjoy drinking a lot, even though I traditionally wasn't really a huge fan of Oktoberfest beers.
So that was something new that you guys tried this year?
No, I think we're on our third year.
Okay.
Yeah, second or third year of doing Oktoberfest.
Okay. And it's a hit?
Yeah, people like it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so.
Do you guys have like a flagship beer that is just a go-to for you guys to make that's always a go-to for anybody coming through?
We have a couple that from our range of all the different IPAs that we make that we're kind of like, these ones are representative of what we're about. And that would be Azacca Blind and Johnny 5. Those we kind of try to keep in rotation more often than, say, any of the other beers.
Excellent.
How do you come up with new beer recipes and flavor profiles?
So a lot of times it's drinking something from somebody else. And like, so the new IPA that we did last summer was what all the other hops promised. And that is Mosaic and Motueka hop combination, and came about because I was down in Connecticut and had a Fox Farm beer on tap and took one sip of it and was like, whoa, wait a second. Well, there's something in here that's really, really good. Like, what is this combination? So I got the name off the menu and looked it up and saw their description, and it was like Motueka Mosaic. I was like, okay, all right, put that in my brain. And then I was at Bright Ideas and had a beer from them. And I was like, seriously, come on. I'm like, what is it? I'm like, what's this? And I was talking to Orion, the owner, and he's like, oh, that's that. And I was like, okay. I'm like, oh, yep. I'm like, it's definitely Motueka Mosaic. He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so then I told Jared, I'm like, Jared, we're making a Motueka Mosaic beer. So, yeah. So, just having that from someone else, that can be one way to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of our other sort of like either sours or, milkshake IPAs or, our more specialty fruited kind of crazy beers, a lot of them will come from, say like having a dessert somewhere or having a different drink somewhere, so, and then, kind of saying, well, all right, how do we get this in a beer? So, like growing up, my grandmother always used to make strawberry rhubarb pie. So when we made one of our first sours,
classic New England.
So I think our very first sour was strawberry rhubarb sour. Because I was like, all right, the tartness of the rhubarb lends to the sour note. So like, it just seemed like a no brainer. So, so we did that, and then, just, kind of go from there.
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys have like a favorite hops that you like to work with?
So my favorite hop historically was Galaxy, which a lot of brewers really love.
Yeah.
But it really, really changed over the past, since I want to say 2019, 2020. There are, a lot of different conditions. I guess there were fires over where not on the crops themselves, but in the region where it was.
Smoke in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really kind of changed things, and it's not what it really used to be. From what we're hearing through the grapevine, these new crops are like, they're claiming it's back.
Okay.
But that was always my favorite, hop, and but lately, probably the past 2 years, again, like, you just can't go wrong with Citra. You put Citra in anything, it's really going to taste good. My new favorite one is Motueka, like what we're having now.
Okay.
The Casmont, it's Cashmere Motueka.
This is delicious.
It's really good. Yeah.
And you guys brewed this with another brewery,
Four Walls.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. They had won the homebrew competition at the Springfield Museum's Oktoberfest.
Oh, cool. And where are they out of? Sorry, testing you here.
No, just the banging of the can on the table. So he has family that is from the Springfield area, Springfield Ludlow area, and he lived out here for a long time. He currently is in Boston area, but his roots are kind of out here. So a lot of his brewing stuff, he ends up kind of bringing it back out here. So he does all the Western Mass Brew Fest, the Brew at the Zoo. He does the Worthy. He does the Springfield Museums. You know, so yeah.
It's absolutely delicious. Who comes up with the what am I trying to say?
The names?
The labels. The labels. Yeah.
Most of the time, it's kind of a collective. So Eric used to do all of our artwork because of his graphic design background. And then he handed over, some of the stuff that he had done for me and gave me some pointers and tips, and I kind of ran with it, and I'm learning a whole lot more the more I kind of do. So I end up doing all the final kind of label stuff. But usually we're like, okay, we're going to do a new beer. What are we calling this? Sometimes they name themselves due to something that's happening leading up to making it.
Okay.
Sometimes the finished product kind of tells you what it should be called.
Yeah.
And then, so then from there, once you have the name, then you're like, okay, well, what are we putting on the can? What are we going to do with this? And we usually kind of go back and forth, and I'll mock some things up and send some samples and say, do you like this versus this or that versus that? And then I'll get feedback from Jared and our, other people that help us out and work here. And then we kind of come down with the final design.
It's something I've been realizing after doing several podcasts with Rob here is that it's an artistic outlet for you guys in a lot of more ways than just brewing the beer. It's the label, it's the process, it's how you serve your beers to the community. So it's very interesting to see how you guys come up with everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that get into brewing have other artistic kind of passions in their life, and this is just the one of their passions that they can somehow make money off of.
And music, because you were talking about how you're a musician and stuff, which it's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, so there's a lot of brewers that you find out through meeting everybody and hanging out that are musicians, either painters, just artistic in some way, writers, just different things. So like you said, the beer is one part of the art behind it, but then they can incorporate other parts of, their artistic outlets into their product.
Well, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of running a brewery?
Just keeping up with everything. There's just, we got into this because we wanted to make beer, not necessarily to be business owners. And then when you kind of come to the reality of all the different things that go on to just be a business owner, it's like, wow, that's a unique mindset and personality for people that want to run their own business and do really well at the business side of things. From everything from just, it seems like as soon as you're done finishing up all your licensing paperwork and inspections and everything, just to function, it's time to do it all over again.
Right, yeah.
Like, oh, we're doing this again? Didn't we just do this a week ago? Like, nope, it's another year's gone by and it's time to do all this paperwork all over again.
Yeah.
It's it's like, you just want to check. Like, can't I just write you a check? Can I just give you the money? Why do I have to fill out all these forms just to give you the money? Like, just take the money.
Yeah.
But I feel that in even the way for my job, I have to have licensing, and it's like, didn't I just cut you guys a check for all of this? Like, I just did this all last year.
Yeah. So that I think is probably the hardest thing for us, just still having the full-time day jobs. It's like, we can sort of, schedule in and fit in the fun things that we want to do, which is brewing the beer and taking care of packaging the beer and getting all of that squared away. But then it's just all the incessant, all the other things that come up that, you pile on top of it. And it's hard to kind of keep your arms wrapped around that and stay on top of all of that.
Yeah. What do you do for a full-time job?
I do IT stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I get to work from home, so it makes it convenient. I'm only like 15 minutes away, so
okay.
makes it fairly convenient to be able to get done with the workday and then just pop over here and do stuff and so forth, or come over here first thing in the morning, get a few things out of the way, and then just go and work my workday. So I'm not traveling around like I was in the past. But
So before the injury, were you one of the ones that was serving the beer during the weekends?
So Jared and I don't do a ton of the taproom shifts, just because of everything else. But we do try to do them from time to time. And strangely enough, I had scheduled myself for hey, I haven't done a taproom shift in quite a while. So I had scheduled myself for Saturday night.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, and I don't think we kind of talked about it, but yeah. then Friday, I blew out my knee. So
of course you did it on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So Jared actually had to fill in. So he got to do my, hey, I haven't done a taproom shift in a while. So, so he got to take care of that for me. So
how do you ensure consistency and quality across your batches?
You document a lot of stuff, and just, you take a lot of readings the first time that you do it. And then you see kind of where it is in the finished product. The first go around, I don't think that we've ever made a beer where there wasn't some adjustment from the first batch to the second batch. Some more than others, but there's a slight adjustment because you're like, okay, this is what I was intending. And even though, somebody that drinks it has no idea what you thought it was supposed to taste like.
Yep.
So they're like, oh, this is really great. This is amazing. And you're like, I'm not saying that it's not good, but, I had something in my mind that I was going for, and I can see where I'm a little bit off from that, need some, maybe a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that, so forth, so on. So you kind of document all of that stuff, make your adjustments. Second go around, you document again. And then, if the second batch, you are like, okay, yep, this is what I was thinking it should have been the first time around, then you just kind of work off of those and just kind of be repetitive and, do the same thing over and over again. And,
So when you're making a new batch of something, do you make a small batch or do you go full on with the full brewery kit?
Well, so the majority of our stuff when we first started out was 1 barrel batches, so 31 gallons. And then we kind of expanded our system and we were able to do 2 barrels at a time, but it was really just 2 side by side 1 barrel batches. So we did so many at that scale for such a long period of time that now when we come up with new things, we don't go so far off the map. And like I said, if we're going to introduce a new style that we've never brewed before, we really do a lot of diligence on just researching the style, researching the best examples of it, reading whatever we can read from those breweries on their process. Some breweries are like, you can't find out anything. It's just like, hey, here's the beer and this is what it's called. And that's what you get. Other places, like when we did our first West Coast IPA, back before the New England IPA craze came around and we all fell in love with that, we were big West Coast IPA fans. And we were drinking tons of West Coast IPAs. And Racer 5 was one of our go-tos, Bear Republic Racer 5. They actually have a lot of information on their beers on their website. So we were able to get not the percentages, but we were able to get the grain bill breakdown, the hop breakdown that was in it. So we were able to say, all right, well, if they're doing this based on our experience and, how much of this you would use for this style beer versus this style beer, so forth, we can kind of come. So ours is modeled after Racer 5. And we were able to find a lot of great information. So we felt pretty confident going in, just doing a full batch off of that because of, the information that we had. Same thing with our, say, our Czech style Pilsner. Just did a lot of research on that, found some places that had lots of details on their recipes and their processes and what they do and so forth. So we were confident kind of going in, doing a big batch, even though it was something we'd never brewed before.
So what does your distribution look like? Are you guys in a lot of like local liquor stores or like Table and Vine, for instance?
We are in Liquors 44.
Okay.
We're actually in the process of getting into Table and Vine.
Okay.
Excellent.
We do self-distribution for the time being.
Okay.
So my wife actually does most of our sales and distribution.
Nice.
Go her.
Yeah. She was like, you guys need to get this beer out there. And we're like, yeah, we do. And then she's like, are you guys going to, get this beer out there to stores? Yeah, we really should. And she's like, I'll just do it. And we were like, that sounds great to us.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, so she just took it and ran with it, and now she just tells us what she needs, and we're like, okay, here you go, you got it. So
I would love for you guys to get into Table and Vine, because it's one of our favorite things to go and like pick your own 6-pack. It's like our favorite thing ever in Table and Vine. So if you guys were an option, that would be fabulous.
Yeah, we so again, getting into this because we were beer lovers, we try to kind of think and do things and approach our environment, our tap room, our the ways that we do things based around being a beer buyer. As opposed to like, oh, I just make beer and this is the way I'm going to sell it to you. So like even here we do mix 4-packs to go, and people are always a little bit confused. They're like, well, what if there's not one? I want like one of these. And we're like, just break apart a 4-pack and put the other 3 on the bottom.
See, that's amazing to know that you guys do that, because I love White Lion. We've worked for White Lion. You can't do that. And that's a really good thing for everybody to know. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I know for me, I'd go into places and you'd see like 5, 6 different things that you want to try, and then you're like, my wallet will not allow me
right,
to
you don't want 20 beers. You just want 4.
6 4-packs. So I just want 4 or 2 4-packs, but just a mixed variety of them.
Yeah.
But then inevitably what happens is you get one of the ones that you were really excited about, you open it, you drink it, and you're like, yeah, that was amazing. I wish I had just bought 4.
It's a double-edged sword.
I want more, but I didn't buy more. I only bought 1. But we get that part of it. So we try to think and make decisions for how we're going to do things for consumers from that perspective of remembering us being out there trying to buy beer and things like that.
Do you have a favorite beer here at the brewery, and why? You did mention that your favorite hop
is Motueka. So normally I would not have a good answer to that, but currently I would say that what all the other hops all promise, that Mosaic Motueka, we're on our I want to say 5th or 6th batch of that, and it just delivers every time. So I would say currently that is definitely my favorite. So, but like I said, I mean, we try to make stuff that we like to drink. So at the end of the day, if we make it and we're not enjoying it, then we did something horribly wrong.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Maybe other people don't like it, but if we don't like it, then we really know we did something horribly wrong.
Can you share an interesting or funny story that happened during the brewing process?
Oh, yes, I absolutely can. This is a good one, because this is where, like we were talking about how you come up with a beer name. This is, this beer named itself. So when we were home brewing, we're in Eric's basement, and we're just getting more and more sophisticated with how we're doing our process. And we're like, okay, now we're going to introduce pumps with, quick connect hoses and everything like that. And so we were moving a hose from one pump to another pump, and Jared grabbed it and he was moving it really quickly, and the liquid, some of the stray liquid from the hose flew up and got in his eye.
Boy.
And it was like the whirlpool. It was the cooled whirlpool liquid, so it had a lot of hops in it from the whirlpool function. And he grabbed his eye and he's like, oh, my eyes sting so bad. And we're like, you okay? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm hop blind. And I was like, immediately, we had a chalkboard in his basement where we would just write down potential names. And I just immediately went over to the board and wrote down hop blind.
Hop blind.
And so that became a beer name.
That's awesome.
I like that one. That's
so good.
That's a really good one. And what kind of beer is that one? Is that a New England?
New England IPA.
Okay,
that's great.
One of the ones that when we were home brewers, the Mass Brew Brothers did one of their first ever kind of blind taste tests, and they included some home brewers, and so they included us, and we went all the way through. There was a bracket and stuff, so we didn't go head to head with everybody, but we made it all the way through to the very last bracket and went head to head with Trillium in,
Oh,
in the
Trillium.
IPA category.
That's
and
amazing.
They picked us.
Wow.
So we won the blind taste
That's
test
amazing,
with
'cause
that beer, Hop Blind.
That's
Trillium
crazy.
is a great brewery, so
Yeah.
that's an incredible accomplishment. That's awesome.
Yeah. What trends in the craft beer industry excite you the most right now?
That's kind of a tough one because it's difficult where we're at right now to keep up with a lot of different things. You know, it's kind of one of those, again, double-edged sword. You get into this because you love breweries and you love beer and you love the camaraderie behind breweries and brewers and beer and everything. And then you get into it and you're like, I haven't been anywhere in a million years. You're just head down doing your own thing.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard to kind of keep up. And sometimes it's not until, the consumers are coming in and telling you about what somebody's doing that you're like, oh, well, I have to look into that because I've heard this now from like 4 or 5 different people.
Right.
So I probably should check this out so that we're not way far behind everybody, so forth. So, it's kind of hard to answer. I mean, I will say I like the fact that, cleaner beers are kind of coming back and IPAs aren't going away either. So it's not like, we have to feel like we can only do one or the other. I like the fact that people now are coming in and they're like, okay, I want to try your IPAs and I want to try some clean beers too. And I want to balance it out, more traditional styles, the Czech Pilsners, we did a Mexican lager, we did an Italian Pilsner, and, all these different styles, and people are looking for those in addition. They want to come here and they want to know that you're going to have a really great, really solid selection of IPAs and other things. But at the same time, they want to try those as well. So it's nice that, we don't have to just make one style of beer. So I'd say, maybe that kind of trend of, accepting all styles is, exciting.
Yeah, no, that's great. I do find myself drinking a lot more Pilsners or lagers and stuff like that. I mean, I love my IPAs and stuff, but I just went to a Jack and Jill last week and I won a 30 rack of Bud Light. So I've been drinking those lately.
But it's been true though, because, when we did the Booze and Brews at the Springfield Thunderbirds, when we were talking to a couple of the local breweries, they were talking about those clean beers and how people are coming back to those, which I think is amazing because, New England IPAs was really what got me into craft brewing. But when your palate changes, you want to try different things. It doesn't mean you don't still love New England IPAs, but like getting into the Pilsners and the lagers and even like stouts and porters. Like it's nice to see people's palates changing and appreciating those other kinds of beers.
Yeah, and mixing it up too can really help because you can come back to those New England IPAs with like kind of a refreshed view on it. And
another perspective.
Yeah, they hit a little harder than, when you're just only having those over and over and over again with kind of nothing in between. Absolutely.
How do you source your ingredients, and do you have any special partnerships with any local farms or suppliers?
So we source our stuff through Brewers Supply Group, BSG. They have a warehouse out of West Warwick, Rhode Island. So they're kind of close by, so it works out nicely. If we order stuff, we can get it, within a few days. So the majority of our stuff comes from there. Like most places, for our spent grain, goes to a local farmer. So Jeff at Ruby Ranch, he picks up 2 weeks notice. He picks up some stuff from Vanish. He picks up from a lot of different people. He picks up from us too. He's an awesome guy. And, it's great that we have a place to, get rid of that.
Yeah, definitely.
And he feeds it to his cows and, all the different animals that he has there. So that partnership works out well. And then we also have a friend of ours that gives us his chocolate mint from his yard for our mint chocolate stout that we make every year.
Oh, very nice.
That's cool.
And so the first year he gave us a little bit of it, and then it came out really good, and we all liked it, and we were doing a bigger batch of it the next year. So he's like, I'm going to start harvesting earlier, because I guess the more he picks it, the more it will grow. So he like, so now he picks and gives us, and he, freezes it and saves it up for us. And he's like, so I just ran into him recently, and he was like, I got your chocolate mint ready for you.
That's
so
cool.
Like, all right.
That's cool.
Very nice. What role does sustainability play in your brewery? Sorry. What role does sustainability play in your brewery process?
We're always trying to just be, conscious of what we're doing. Making sure that we're trying to use, chemicals and reuse whatever we can use. Minimizing water usage by, so you'll go through the cooling process. It takes a lot of cold water to cool down the hot beer or wort that is going into the fermenter. So we'll recollect that into our hot liquor tank and use that for cleaning as opposed to using fresh water for cleaning. So, so where we can, and, again, trying to use, the more chemicals that we can use that are environmentally friendly and safe to go down drains and things like that, even though they may not be the quickest or fastest to clean with. It may take a little more effort on our part, and they may be a little bit more expensive to use. Just trying to use stuff like that for, for now at a small scale. It's a little bit challenging to, go into a lot of the things that the bigger places are able to do. Their return on the investment that they get from some of these processes is obviously makes much more sense for them at the scale at which they're doing it. But it's a little bit harder for us on a small scale, but we try where we can.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. How do you engage with the local community? Do you do any charities or anything like that? What role does it play with your brewery's identity?
We always try to support things locally that we can. We do a lot of the local charity beer fest. We do the Brew at the Zoo, which supports a Forest Park Zoo, which is kind of it's a very unique place because when you learn about it, you find out all the animals that are there, they have no other choice, no other recourse. If they weren't accepted there and cared for there, they would have to be put down. So they don't take in, no animals are there because just for show or anything. They only take on rehab projects where, basically that they have no other choice other than be cared for there, and people get to see it, or they're going to be put down. So, so we have no problem supporting that as opposed to, a zoo that, captures a perfectly healthy wild animal and then, then says, hey, come and look at this thing. So, so that's something we can get behind. There's a food truck festival here in Indian Orchard once a year in October, and we support that. We try to support whatever, different things that we can do. We're definitely animal lovers. So anything that is, animal oriented, we're definitely, we're behind that. But any other kinds of things too. We do the Big Brother, Big Sister event, up at the log cabin. So wherever we can kind of give back, we try to.
That's this Thursday or next Thursday? I think it's next Thursday.
Yeah.
Because I know
it's coming up fast.
I have an interview set up with Mike Yates from White Lion. He's the head brewer there. Okay. So,
I think it was. I think it's next weekend.
It's next Thursday.
It's a Thursday night.
Actually, so the day this episode is going to come out, it is later on tonight. If you're listening, on the Thursday it comes out.
Yeah, and that's a great event. So there's a lot of great events. And like we said, we try to support as much diverse events as we can.
Yeah. You mentioned being pet friendly. Before we came in for the interview, my wife Hannah here, she looked up online and said that it said you were dog friendly. So we actually brought our 4-pound Yorkshire Terrier in with us today. So Kenzie is joining us.
We're like, are they going to be okay with Kenzie? Let me look it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we all Eric has I think he still has 2 dogs now. we still play hockey with Eric, mountain bike with him and stuff. So it's nice that, we're still all connected, even though he's not part of it. It's like he's still part of it, So that's really cool. I mean, we wouldn't be here without him. So, it's like he's never not going to be a part of this.
Right.
But, yeah. So he still has, he has a bunch of dogs. Jared has a dog. We had 2. Now we have 1. My daughter has 2 dogs and 3 cats. And so.
We love our dogs.
Yeah. Very nice. Can you share any exciting upcoming projects or new beer releases?
We don't really have anything super new right on the horizon now. I mean, wait, I'm sorry. We do actually. We were fortunate enough to partner with Granby Liquors. They did a bourbon barrel, like a bourbon selection barrel thing. They went down and did a tour, and they selected a barrel that was their own barrel for the store. They got it bottled, and it was sold in the store, and then they worked with us, and they got actually the barrel itself.
Oh, nice.
And they were, looking around and talking to a few different places. But again, one of the advantages for us of being small was that, we were, it was only one barrel. So, being smaller, it actually made more sense for us to do this than, say, some of the bigger places. But so we did a stout for them, and we barrel aged that. And in the barrel that they had hand selected for the bourbon that was sold through the store. So that should be ready in a few weeks.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long did you age it for in the barrel?
I believe this one is coming up on close to a year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. The as a lot of people probably know, the barrel aging process is, it varies from barrel to barrel, from beer to beer. So you just kind of let it go till it's ready.
Yeah.
So this one was, I think by the time it's packaged and everything, it'll be like just shy of a full year.
Okay. Sam Adams does a barrel age beer, and I tried it for the first time at the Big E this year. What they do is they take a bunch of them and they mix them together. The oldest being 30 years old, barrel aged,
wow,
and the youngest being a year old. But it's very thick. And have you ever had it or heard it?
No.
It's called Utopia from Sam Adams.
Oh, okay. I have heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't believe I have ever had it.
Yeah, it's very thick.
Yeah, it's almost like a cognac, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was really good. It was much better than I thought it was going to be. But yeah. They were selling them at the Sam Adams Garden at the Big E for $20 for 1 ounce. So I mean, it was a little pricey, but it was really good.
Yeah.
How do you approach beer festivals? I mean, we got the biggest one in the area, the Worthy Fest, and you mentioned that already. You mentioned a couple others, but how do you approach beer festivals and events? And do you have a favorite festival that you go to?
Yeah, I mean, we find out about a lot of them, and we try to do as many as we can. It's really enjoyable. It's kind of like an opportunity where in the past, when we were beer consumers, we would go out and visit a bunch of breweries. Well, this is kind of an opportunity for us to, visit with a bunch of people that are visiting a bunch of breweries and visit a bunch of other brewers all at the same time. Yeah. So it's kind of a great day out, for us when we can do it. So, just trying to, fit things into the schedule and make sure we have enough coverage to go and do it if we can't do it ourselves, so forth. But we try to do as many as we can, and all the different ones around here are really great. The Worthy obviously has been around for a really long time, and that is a super fun beer fest, and you get to catch up with everybody and see everybody. The Brew at the Zoo is an awesome event. A little bit different format for us brewers because they space you out throughout the exhibits. So when you go in, you see an exhibit and there's a brewery there, and then you move down a path and there will be another exhibit in another brewery.
What time of year is that one again?
That one's usually in August.
Okay.
Yep. So, so that one's really great, but not as great for us as brewers to catch up because we're spaced farther apart. We can't just walk a couple spaces down and talk, So they all have different, kind of things about them that, make them unique. So like I said, the Big Brothers Big Sisters event is a great one at the Log Cabin. It's it's a beautiful venue, and it's a nice time of year to get out and be up there and in the hills and see the foliage. So yeah.
Where do you see your brewery in the next 5 years, and what's your long-term goals? Are you planning on quitting your full-time job and just getting in it here?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's such a volatile, tough time. It's really tough to pin down what's going to happen over the next few years. So I think like a lot of places, we're kind of at like a, not really standstill, so to speak, but a little bit of a standstill. Like, let's just see what's going to happen before we kind of, move in any one direction, too aggressively. So we're kind of like stay the course, just try to figure out where things are going to go. We don't want to get in over our heads and put ourselves in a bad situation. If times are going to get a little bit leaner than they already are and so forth, be able to weather that and come out the other side. And because craft beer is at least for me, from getting into it in the early 90s and all the way through till now, it's like cyclical. It goes through time periods where it's it's on a rise and it's peaked out, and then it kind of diminishes a little bit, and then it will kind of go back up. Something new will hit that will cause everybody to kind of come back around and be into it again. So we just figure that if we can ride it out and stay relevant until the next go round hits, definitely. Then we can be a part of that. So yeah, and I mean, for me personally, I kind of viewed this as something that, unless it forced me to quit my day job, I look more to like retire into it. I don't want to do IT forever. I never thought I'd be this guy, but you reach that point where you're like, I don't want to learn anything new. Like, when I was young and in there, and the old guys were like, I don't want to learn anything new. You learn it. I was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, this is awesome. We're learning all this stuff. And then you hit a certain point and you're like, I don't want to learn anything new. Like, why can't it just stay still for a while? But yeah, I wanted something kind of to keep me busy in retirement, and something that I enjoy doing, and something that is again a creative outlet that will keep me occupied.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Todd, well, thank you very much for your time. One last question, where can we find you? You already mentioned the Indian Orchard and stuff like that. You mentioned a couple retail places, but where can we find you? Taproom location, retail sales, any kind of information
and
like
hours at the taproom?
Yeah, definitely hours.
Yeah. So we're here open Thursday through Sunday. We are currently 4 to 9 on Thursdays, 4 to 9 Friday, 1 to 9 on Saturday, and we're 12 to 6 currently on Sunday. We're looking to maybe in the next couple of weeks switch that to 1 to 7. So that's here, and we have cans to go, and beer on draft, and we'll post if we have a food truck. If we don't have a food truck, or even if we do have a food truck, if you want to bring your own food in, we're fine with that. Okay. Again, not having a kitchen is on one hand is an advantage because we can be dog friendly. So if you have well-behaved dogs and they get along well with other dogs, in case there's any others here, we welcome that. So, and then we're in a variety of different stores, from East Long Meadow all the way out to where is Spirited? Lenox, Mass.
Okay.
Yeah. So
also like the Berkshire area then.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and kind of going east, we have a few places in Sturbridge. So
nice. Yankee Spirits.
Yeah, we have been there.
Okay.
I don't know that you'll find us there regularly, but they order from us off and on.
Okay.
So yeah, sometimes you might find us at Yankee Spirits.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. And what's the address here at the tap room?
34 Front Street in Indian Orchard.
And there's great signs, so when you park, just follow the signs to get down here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Todd, thank you very much for
Yes, thank
for
you so much.
being on the
You're welcome.
podcast. Having us come down here, and
Thank
Even
you,
with your
guys.
injury, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah.
and thanks for the beer. Yeah, this was really good.
Yeah. Figured we'd get this out of the way before surgery.
All right, Todd. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Beers That Fitz. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of craft beer. Don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's episode. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for all updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more. And remember, new episodes drop every Thursday, so be sure to join us next week for another great conversation with the people behind your favorite brews. Until then, grab a pint, enjoy, and cheers to good times and great beers. Slanja.